Kansas Governor Sam Brownback this week delivered his State of the State address, and even though some are worried about whether the state has cut taxes too far, he says he's ready to cut them even more.
When I started as governor, we had the highest state income tax in the region. Now, we have the second lowest, and I want us to take it to zero. Look out, Texas. Here comes Kansas.
Texas doesn't even have an income tax. Governor Brownback proposes reducing the highest income tax bracket paid by Kansans from its current rate at 4.9% to 3.5%. The rate for the lowest bracket would drop to 1.9% from 3%. But how would those be paid for when the governor also says basic services of government like education and social services won't even be harmed?
Well, if they don't do something in addition to that, there's going to be about a $267 million shortfall. So what the governor is proposing is extending a sales tax that was supposed to sunset very soon, as well as eliminating the mortgage interest deduction on the taxes. And that, according to the governor, would create a surplus. But there's a problem with both of those. Neither are politically popular. Cutting taxes, very popular. Raising any kind of taxes or continuing a tax that was supposed to sunset, very unpopular. So he's got a hard road to hoe on.
Okay, you talked about then the governor calling for the elimination of the mortgage tax deduction. That was tried last year and it failed. That's an average savings of $390 for most people. So isn't that going to be tough, Dave Helling, for the governor to pass?
Yes. Now, he's making the argument that that deduction is very valuable, worth much more than $390 annually to very wealthy people, particularly people who might live in wealthier areas like Johnson County, and that they're getting dinged because he's getting a lot of criticism for what we've talked about on this show, Nick, and that is he's really shifting the burden of government from the rich onto the poor in Kansas, both in terms of spending and taxation. It's very clear. And I think he's getting criticized for that, so he's making the case this mortgage deduction is actually valuable for richer people. But he could prove that he believes that by capping that deduction rather than eliminating it for all homeowners, even though with relatively cheap homes. And that might be, again, a way of compromise going forward. There isn't a lot of political support for it. There isn't a lot of support, as Stacey suggests, for keeping that sales tax either. If he doesn't get any of that, cutting taxes on the income side is going to be very difficult politically.
Right, and there's a hole in the government's argument, or the governor's argument there, because while the rich may pay more on that tax, it's a smaller percentage of their overall income. And also look at those tax percent cuts. So the rich are going to have their taxes cut 1.4%, where middle income and poor people are only going to see about a 0.6% reduction. Why isn't it equal? If you're going to cut it, then cut it equal. And then you talk about the sales tax that won't cut. That is a regressive tax, which those of us who buy goods in Kansas, for the percentage of our income, that's more money out of our pocket. So these tax cuts are benefiting the rich in Kansas, and the continued taxes or the deductions that they get rid of really hurt middle income and poor people.
Just very quickly, the idea, though, of reducing income taxes to zero is all the rage in Republican governor circles. It isn't just Sam Brownback. The governor of Nebraska proposed it this week. The governor of Louisiana wants to eliminate that state's income tax. Oklahoma is pushing for a major reduction in income taxes, and of course it's a big issue in Missouri. Throughout the Midwest, the idea of zeroing out income tax is a pretty big deal.
The governor also proposes, by the way, a $14 increase per pupil spending for schools. The $76 million increase falls far short of a court ruling last week that ordered the state to increase spending by at least $440 million next year to provide what they called a suitable education for its school children. Does this elevate that clash with the courts we talked about last week, where the governor wants to change the way judges are selected?
Well, that's right, what's on the board here, because we're not talking about cases. We're not talking about issues in terms of things like abortion. We're not talking about trials. We're talking about the court forcing the legislature and the governor to spend more money, and they're tagging the court as liberal because they want more. So if the governor, he's assuming, if he can get control over the appointments to the Supreme Court, then he can appoint conservative judges that will draw back on that ruling and let the legislature define what a suitable education is, because right now the court